So you started out as a writer.
Yes.
You've done The Jacket and Leo.
Yes.
Now, did Leo get a theatrical release?
No, Leo went straight to video. Poor Leo.
But you must have been writing for Hollywood for a long time.
I've been writing ever since I graduated from college. I knew I wanted to direct films ever since I was 12, but I started writing Leo actually while I was an assistant in the evenings. I would write Leo.
Who were you an assistant to?
I was an assistant to an agent at the Creative Artists Agency named Karen Sage, and she was so great. She had a baby that year, so I actually had good hours, relatively good hours, so I can get home in time to sort of write in the evenings. Then I wrote, and then I quit my job with a good friend of mine at work, and we went to Sundance and met a producer and raised some money and went to South Carolina and made the first film. Not directed, but produced it.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
that's so you learned that just doing it was probably
It's kind of the only way. I think that directing is sort of the same thing. I mean, directing, that you can prepare so much, but you really learn the bulk of it doing it. Like, the learning curve is so steep just because everything is so new and you're learning all of it just by actually rolling up your sleeves.
And then how did you come to direct so soon?
Well, I was writing for several years, and then I met Kira, who really helped this project get off the ground, and then
She was in The Jacket.
yes, she was in The Jacket, so that's how I had met her. And then Nick Wexler, who's the producer with me on Last Night, I had met him several years ago, and he was very supportive of the idea of me directing this, and it just became that process of going to every financier until we found one yes, which was Gaumont, and when they said yes, it was great. Cause
Now, that was because you cast a famous guy, Guillaume Canet,
I think,
right?
yeah, well, I think actually they signed on actually before Guillaume, right, and they were great partners with us in terms of the rest of the casting.
But did you need to cast someone French in order
No,
to get
not
that
at all.
funding?
No, the irony is that actually it was scripted as just an American, the character, and the irony is that when I met Guillaume at a screening of his film Tell No One in LA, actually at CAA, I had met him there, and I wasn't as familiar with his work as an actor, but when I met him, there was something so memorable about him, and I thought he might have the same chemistry as Kira, with, like, not the same, but a good chemistry with Kira, so I cast him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because that was a bit of a risk. I mean, was he well known as an actor as well as a director?
You know what? He's very well known in France, and he has been in an English film here at the beach several years ago with Leonardo DiCaprio. And he's been in a lot of French films. I think now people are getting to know him much more as a director, or as much as a director, because he's a very fine director.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
No, I love.
But it was funny because obviously he's playing her ex-lover, and this, for a moment I thought, oh no, stereotypical French lover, but it's not. I think he plays it very. I think it's just
he's
modern.
wonderful. He's
And it's
wonderful.
modern. I mean, I think people are from different places in New York City. So
And it's interesting putting Sam Worthington in this kind of role as well.
Yes.
He's been sort of. I think the secret of Avatar is that he's really not an action hero. He's a wounded, sensitive soul. But,
Well, Sam, I met Sam while he was shooting Avatar, but I actually really liked his work in an Australian film called Somersault with Abby Cornish, and I had seen him in that, and I immediately was like, who is that? Who is he? And then I met him while he was shooting Avatar before it became what Avatar became. But I really considered him like a very, inherently a very dramatic actor, and then of course he's gone on to do all sorts of action. I think our film prepared him for it.
Now, you shot this a while ago, and
Yes.
it's been a bit of a difficult trajectory.
Yeah, which has been, sort of test in patience. But we finished the film, and then Miramax bought the film, and then Miramax itself was put up for sale by Disney, and then that selling process took a while. So we kind of have been waiting to just, arrive at this point for a release. But I think, the industry's changing. I think we're lucky to have a release, given how
Well, that's what I was
difficult
going to
these
say.
films are.
If you're, you're unfortunately you're kind of indicative of some of the risks and travails that people face right now. Because but you got the release with the Tribeca Film Festival, but
And
the
Miramax.
Tribeca Films,
Yes,
right?
Tribeca Films
So how
is-
did that work?
Once Miramax was sold to the new ownership, the new Miramax partnered up with Tribeca Film, who wants to kind of get into the business of distribution, and will be one of their first releases under that model. So it's great that another distributor is emerging from New York, because we've lost so many, in the last couple of years that I think it's good that we have another U.S. distributor. So,
But they're pretty much focused on a kind of VOD model, are they not?
they are. Well, their model is actually when the film festival starts, they release the films simultaneously on VOD. Ours is also getting a theatrical release, but the VOD model definitely.
What's the timing?
The timing is the festival begins April 20th, so all the films, including ours, will be going on demand then. But we actually have our theatrical release May 6th, so it's kind of an experiment. I think. None of us have gone through it before, so we're sort of hoping that it works out.
But how do you recoup your investment in this situation?
I think I think the VOD model must be profitable for them if they're kind of electing to go that route. But I think that in terms of the financing of the film, they sold off territories, which I think paid for its
and
budget.
you debuted in Rome,
yes,
is that right?
We debuted actually in Toronto.
Ah.
Yeah, in Toronto last fall. And then we went to Rome, and then the film has actually been released in a couple countries in Europe.
How did it do?
I think it did okay. I mean, I think it did okay. It's a small film, but I think it did okay.
It hasn't opened in the UK yet?
No, not yet. I think the UK hopefully will be later this summer.
Because there's something kind of European about this movie. I sort of like the intimacy and is that, what did you have in mind?
Yeah, I think I love Eric Rohmer films. I love A Man and a Woman. I love those films. I love Bergman. I love Scenes from a Marriage. I love European cinema, and I think a lot of it is it's contained. It's a mirror of life. I love those films, so I think that probably leaked into it, and then also the cast. We have an Australian man, an English woman, a French man, and a Cuban American. So it does feel, I guess it doesn't feel international to me. It just feels modern to me.
Set in New York.
It just feels like New York of today, where you don't have 4 Americans necessarily on the street who speak with an American accent.